What's up, Pocket Dudes? Welcome to Pokemon Go to the Movies, the Pokemon movie podcast from us here at GigaBoots. I'm your host, Dan Video Games, and with me is Bob.
Goodbye, all Pokemon.
Dr. Aggro.
Gorilla.
Chris Wolfhart.
The way of water has no beginning or end.
And Millennium Mike's very own Shiba Yagato.
All begins and ends with Monkey.
And that's right, this time we watched Pokemon the movie Secrets of the Jungle, or as it's known in Japan, Pocket Monsters the movie, Coco. An interesting change for the titles. That's
like
what
Coco the gorilla?
No, like Coco, the main character of this movie.
Coco is in the lead.
But that made me like, are they named that because of Coco the gorilla?
I think
probably
human.
There's a low chance.
Human ape bridge ? Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, if you've never
Coco
watched,
was famous.
If you've never watched Pokemon and go to the movies before, what we do is we talk about the plot of the Pokemon movie and then we measure it across various axes, such as how whimsical was it? How good's the Dex representation? Could this have been better solved with a gun? And then at the very end, we give it our patented 1 to however many Pokemon there are in this region and generation scale, which this time is 1 to 905. Whoa. And it is a shame we need them to make another Pokemon movie before we can crack that quad-digit scale.
Yeah.
So, let's get to the movie summary before we get to our various segments. It opens on Netflix Presents. I'm watching this on Amazon Prime.
What a funny world we live in.
Oh, fantastic opener.
Real strong. We open on rhythmic drums in a raining forest full of secrets, presumably. The Zarude are all singing about how strong they are and how they're the best, that they're just so cool, and all the other Pokemon run from them as they bully them and feast on the berries and stuff. The interesting thing here is the Zarude can talk to each other, right? That's happening. This song is in an English language, and then they communicate in English.
Yeah, no, this was really worrying immediately until we found out later on, that's just for them.
And that's the thing.
It's a fun bait and switch, I think.
It was. Like, they understood too many movies, just had legendaries that could talk to humans. And the suspense of this film was this another one? And it takes us quite a while to confirm, no, they can communicate among themselves. They are not just speaking the English language.
Mm-hmm. I was literally coping, like maybe it's just like translated for the audience. Maybe they don't talk.
I was just bracing for the inevitable. Oh, well, here we go again. But well handled, well played.
The main Zarude we're looking at here, here's some crying off in the distance. He charges off on his own to find a human baby in an open canister wearing a necklace with a ring on it. The baby and the Zarude play together. There's some wacky hijinks as he's like, oh, whatever, I'm gonna leave this baby. And then the baby jumps on him and he's like, oh no. And then the baby slides down his arm and puts its butt to his nose and it makes him pass out because it's stinky.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, this will only happen one more time. The Zarude carries away the baby towards a giant majestic tree. Think, the Mana tree, just absolutely massive thing. And it's called the Forest Spring out here. The Heart Tree. The Zarudes actually live out here. And as he brings in this human baby, most of them protest. But the elder asks what he plans to do with the human. This main Zarude says, if he doesn't take care of the baby, it will not survive. They're supposed to keep all the outsiders away so the land isn't tainted. Such is the law of the Zarude. He proclaims he will go and find the baby's parents. One of the Zarude angrily tells him he'll never return again. How dare he? It almost seems heartbroken, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Super, super betrayed by this moment. And our main Zarude leaves. There's a montage of him raising the baby as a musical number plays. It's pretty good because there's a scene of a baby squeezing a Salandit to make it spew fire. And it's really good because the Zarude just wakes up to a forest fire. This is how he finds out. Zarude comes across an abandoned lab where he imagines the research team that was there, and he lifts up a photograph and just looks at it. Inside here, he finds it's like the purple cape, right?
Yeah, you have his cape.
Yeah.
He gets his iconic look. He finds the Kamina sunglasses. He puts it on and he leaves in order to become incredibly Studio Trigger. And the baby grows into a young man. Title card.
There's still no Ash. We're at the titles card and we haven't had Ash yet.
I know. And
he's dead.
We still don't know whether or not the legendary can speak human language at this point. The suspense is really high. Anyways, this is the city of, and I'm going to try to say it right, not Milfia. This is not Milftown. It is completely surrounded by forest. Ash is going to enter the forest of Okoya looking for adventure. As Bob asked during the movie, how did Ash get here?
Yeah, because he's surprised by seeing the jungle.
He looks at it and is
He
like,
walked.
whoa. He's like, I'm so excited to enter that. And I'm like, I guess he airdropped.
I guess. Like, there's there's an airport here.
Ash never dwells on the past, all right? Every day is a new set of experiences.
Even if they're old experiences.
This is also an Ash who doesn't have anybody to, navigate. So he just goes wherever his feet take him at this point. And he happens to end up right near a really dangerous jungle. But he stopped in town first, thank fuck.
He's some sort of planeswalker. He was able to dimensional shift here.
Ooh. Right? Like this Ash, as we've established, post Ash Prime's death, these are probably just like reality bubbles or echoes. This Ash may have materialized in this town.
Delia has to deal with a lot of different Ashes being around the different towns.
Now that he's free of all his babysitters, he's now just like running around like Ryoga. He's like, I have no sense of direction. I'll just walk down the street and end up in another country.
Yeah, maybe he came in at night.
Yeah,
and
maybe.
he didn't see the jungle.
And he's convinced he's in Yokohama, and he's really not.
In a Pokemon Center, Ash says bye to his mom on the video phone. I'm glad Delia is here for the last episode of Pokemon Go to the Movies for the foreseeable future. She
Also,
is.
why is this Pokemon Center an Anglican church?
We won't question how
we don't
the
hear
Pokemon
much about this
universe
city.
works, okay? Back in the jungle, the child is swinging around calling the Zarude Dada. So there we go. We now have a name for that Zarude.
Which the Netflix subtitles speaker tagged him in his first conversation. So I'm like, wait, is that Zarude's name Dada, or is that what the human child is going to call him later? And this is weird.
I know. I also went through that on Amazon Prime, and I was just like, okay,
Pokemon
that's
cannot have names.
Zarude Dada, and that one's Zarude Alpha, and that one's Zarude Sandstorm.
Damn
No,
it.
he's just Zarude. The difference is that he has his iconic little scarf to separate him from all the other Zarude visually, so you know at a glance.
It was just-
that's that guy.
It was so spoilersy, though, in the first time he speaks that it's like, by the way, his name's Dad. And I'm like, I wonder what's going to happen.
Not that it wasn't already obvious, but
Right.
still.
Yeah.
As a point of clerical upkeep, I literally had it written down here that Shibuya was going to be the first one to make a sandstorm joke. Thank you, Dan, for fucking that up.
The opportunity was there. This isn't written in my notes. That's what we call off the noggin, right? That was pure comedy straight from the brain.
I think it's interesting that Dada has named Coco. That means that all Pokemon have names, and we're just renaming them.
You don't know that. Maybe he just knows that humans have names.
Yeah, maybe humans are called
This is
Coco
fair.
by Zarude.
I feel like that's kind of spoilersy. I feel like that might come up at some point if you're trying to hide that he's a human.
That's okay, because humans call themselves humans.
No other Zarude's ever going to say anything.
No, yeah, we're good. Shit, you don't know they didn't.
I guess.
Also, they don't really talk to him all that much because they're
True,
like,
he's an
get the fuck out of
outcast.
here. Besides, they would have said something like, get the hell out of here, Coco. And then that would have worked perfectly. Anyways, the child, Coco, talks to the other Pokemon who talk in their Pokemon tongues. They seem mad about something. Zarude runs off and sees that some berries were destroyed. Dada gets mad and yells at the other Pokemon because like they're blaming him for the berries getting destroyed. And most of the Pokemon flee, but Stunky gets scared and farts on Dada. There we go. That's the last time.
That Whimsicott was going to throw down, though.
It's true. Coco is like, hey, we should plant some berries and then we can grow them closer to home and that'll be great and everyone will love it and then we can share. And Zarude's like, that's great. That's my son. Ash and Pikachu come up on a Cramorant eating a fish. They start to battle it, but Pikachu is immediately just caught in the maw of Cramorant. Pikachu shocks the Cramorant, who then flies away. Team Rocket is nearby, and James thinks it's disconcerting, the notion of being zapped from the inside.
Surprised it hasn't happened yet.
James is a dark soul. That's his first thought.
I mean, yeah, I'm surprised it hasn't happened to him already. He's been zapped in so many ways.
There's hundreds of episodes. You think he would have just eaten, coincidentally, some sort of electrode thing or something?
Like somehow accidentally bit Pikachu, and it's like, uh-oh.
Well, I mean, that's another thing. Like, how often do you see a Pokemon actively eating another Pokemon?
Not terribly often.
No.
It's really just
Yeah, this is a
Cramorant's
rarity.
thing.
Speaking of, can I just say, I did not expect Cramorant to show up in this movie at all. So, most pleasant surprise of my life that one of my favorite Gen 8 Pokemon is just here in this movie for various scenes, and I get to enjoy him being stupid. I love
know.
that fucker.
It's just like barely under the time limit. Just barely under the closing door. Here comes
He
Cramorant.
skirts in the nick of time, and I just get to enjoy it. Delightful.
Speaking of which, Flapple flies by Ash just now, who chases him and then trips over some sort of science equipment, some sort of
Yeah,
excavation
he
thing.
understandably is like, what the fuck's that?
Right? I'm surprised that thing doesn't ever come back. Like, it's just there to be like, we got the Flapple in the movie.
It's in other scenes. It's in like one or two group shots, but it really
been
is just
Appleton.
like Flapple, and I'm like, hell yeah! He trips over that equipment, and then he's introduced to Sharon, a biotope company researcher. They're analyzing the water. Science being done in the jungle. Nothing bad will happen today. James is nearby with the rest of Team Rocket. And he's looking upon them while fucking around on his iPad, and they're looking into the research company and stuff. And they're like, oh, apparently Biotope is, quote, researching things that further the harmony between people and Pokemon. Their founder or something, Dr. Zed, was investigating a spring with curative properties.
I sure hope no gorillas get laser rifles.
Oh, my God. That's a Planet of the Apes joke, right?
Yeah, sure. Not
Okay, cool.
Congo.
What's Congo? You mean Donkey Konga?
Yeah.
You think the gorillas had the laser rifle in that movie?
Look, I watched it when it first came out. I have vague memories of the laser rifle being in the movie and gorillas talking.
I thought it was a deep cut to the Planet of the Apes cartoon series and playset. You know what? If some doomed soul heard that and went, there's no way that's in there, and then watched the entire animated series, that's a problem with their personality, and that's no ramifications on me. I'm guilt-free. Anyway, Team Rocket seems to be skeptical that, the curative properties exist, but if it does, it could lead to hijinks. What is their deal?
I don't know, but they're real characters in this movie, so I'm not complaining.
Like that's an accurate prediction. I don't know what your problem is.
They're like, hey, water that heals people, that could be a Team Rocket hijinks. And then as Bob said as we're watching the movie, it's like, Team Rocket's been shut down for 10 years, get a job.
Yeah, I feel like we need to find out at some point that like Jesse and James are those World War II soldiers who were like on the island and didn't know.
Right?
Giovanni never told them. Neither did Officer Jenny.
Yeah, and they just operate solo and repair their own outfits anytime anything goes wrong, so...
I mean, that makes
What do you
sense.
do?
They're good at like being seamstresses or whatever because of their constant outfit changes.
Right, and them having literally no money.
We cut to Coco planting the seed at this tree, not the big tree, just their house where they live. And Dada uses his powers to make the seed grow into a seedling. Hoot Hoot says something, and then the child runs off abruptly. Elsewhere, Flygon and Pangoro are fighting. Coco, the child, tries to get them to stop fighting because he's worried about Flygon being too hurt to fly. He's like, oh, geez, oh, no.
Yeah, Flygon.
Hell yeah, Flygon.
Right?
So he gets Flygon to chase him into the healing springs. Flygon's injuries heal, but one of the Zarude attacks him for trespassing. Coco yells at him for lecturing him about trespassing when they stole berries from the rest of them, and that Zarude insists that it is the law for the strong to steal from the weak, and then they fight a bit.
Kind of giving it away when like you're using the word steal.
Dada shows up to his rescue. The elder lets them leave peacefully, But that angry Zarud says the elder was always soft on Dada. Dada says Zarud will always have the Zarud law. The child says he doesn't understand because he's not a Zarud. Dada insists he is, but Coco doesn't buy it because he can't use any cool moves. Dada has a flashback of the child trying to take care of a rufflet. For the record, all flashbacks will be this one flashback cut into 4 pieces.
It was an important event.
And each moment, a reflection of the present. The child is still freaking out about not being a Zarud, however. He then Disney's Tarzan's around a little bit.
He does.
Yup.
Slams into a metal pole and passes the fuck out into the river and flows downstream down a waterfall.
Funniest shit I've ever seen.
Ash picks him up out of the water. I'm like, Ash, his unconscious ass just fell down a waterfall. He's like, you're lucky if he has any bones left. Like, but he carries him off, hopefully to heal him. At a biotope research facility, they're analyzing the water, trying to prove that the healing spring exists. When Team Rocket, wearing goofy outfits, starts wrecking the lab a little on accident, they're like, who the fuck's that? And they're just like, we came from corporate? And they buy it instantly.
Right? It's like, is there even a corporate for this company? Does this make any sense?
Here's the best part, though. Meowth is wearing a Shinji Hirako wig.
Yes, he
It's
is.
phenomenal. It's so good.
So goofy.
Absolutely amazing. He might win best dressed.
He's not a Pokemon. He's just a little guy.
He's just a little guy. They can't recognize Meowth in a wig? That's fucking
It
absurd.
is.
Man, that guy's tail's weird.
He's really fuzzy.
You should shave. Coco wakes up in a bed at a Pokemon Center, freaks out, immediately fleeing the scene along with Ash. He wanders into the city, almost gets hit by a car that then swerves to avoid him, and then slams up next to a Dreadnought who freaks out. The Dreadnought starts rampaging through the city, and Coco chases after to try to calm it down and grabs its neck and pats it, like does a like face eyes lock on moment, and then the child is saying Zaruda 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 Zaru Ruda Ruda Zaruda, and it's like, okay, thank God they speak their own language.
I cheered.
That was a good misdirect. Ash catches up. It's like, oh crap! Wow, that's amazing. Look at this child. He calmed him down. Hey, what's up? And then nearby trainer sucks up the Dreadnought with the Pokeball, and then Coco's just like, what the fuck? And then he sees another Pokeball, and he's like, oh my god! And then Ash is holding the Pokeball, and he's like, oh, you're interested in this? And Coco licks it, and then tries to take it, and Ash is like, whoa, hey, what's up? Calm down. Pikachu, zap us both.
Common sense plan.
Mm-hmm.
If someone tried to rob me, I would simply detonate the bomb.
Hey,
Yeah, I spent several years in Australia building up an immunity to the
to
bomb.
bomb. Yeah, like if Ash's heart hasn't stopped yet, like I think he's safe.
48-year-old Ash gives himself a heart attack because he was like, it hasn't killed me yet. So that kind of like knocks them both out. But then they get it back together a little bit. Coco's calmed down, and Pikachu and Coco start talking to each other. They can communicate because Pikachu is a Pokemon. Ash introduces himself. He's like, my name is Ash. And then Coco repeats back, my name is Ash. Ash is like, whoa! Ash asks his name, and it's Coco. I no longer have to write in my notes, the child. He puts his hand up to Ash's and realizes they have the same hands. Wow, they're a lot alike. Musical montage! Coco and Ash are getting him dressed in normal clothes and seeing all the sights of the city. It's amazing. Oh, what a fun time. There's ice cream. Fantastic time. Musical number ends. They're setting up for a fireworks show, but the Phalanx are fucking pissed. No one can figure out why. Coco's like, I'm going to get to the bottom of this and solve this. He starts talking to the Phalanx. He jumps around, runs around, whatever. And in one of the canisters they were going to fire the firework out of, there is a single Phalanx member who is just asleep. He throws the rope to Ash that he has, and Ash holds the rope as he dives into this cannon. He grabs the Phalanx. They pull them out. Day is saved. Everyone's fine.
I can only imagine that the only way that thing got in there was the entire group of Phalanx were like Goombas stacked
Right?
into one
Yeah.
giant tower, and then he tumbled in. This is not a species with a high survival instinct quotient.
But phalanx together strong. I don't understand.
Perhaps it would the thing was laying on its side and a phalanx took a nap in there and then they set this up. That's the only other way it could have happened.
Who's cruel enough to set it up around a single member of this phalanx?
Well, he didn't see it. It was just in the pipe laying on its side. So he just like, I'll push this up. I'm not going to look inside.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair.
Like at that point, I think it's more likely that they traditionally trap an animal in the giant one and sacrifice it for the festival.
I'm not saying they don't do that.
I've been running with the theory that city workers were just caber tossing phalanxes and one of them landed that unbelievable shot.
Wow.
At night, the fireworks go off and Coco is scared. Ash tells him, they're just fireworks. Coco says, just fireworks. Dougie Jones.
Dougie Jones.
They mention that Celebi is the jungle guardian.
But only when the jungle is safe, because screw Celebi.
I know.
I rolled my goddamn eyes harder than I have ever rolled them. I am so
Yeah,
tired of Celebi in movies.
Yeah, what's up with this fucking celery? Like, why do we keep getting this dehydrated lettuce every single fucking movie? This is like the 5th time,
Right? As soon as it opened in a
Mew's
jungle.
been in what, 1? Arceus has been in 2?
Even Mewtwo has only had 2 and an awful remake that I'm not counting because it's awful.
Yeah.
So, actually, what the fuck?
I literally, as soon as this movie opened in a jungle, I made the joke like, okay, we're in the woods. Everything that happens because Celebi allows it to happen.
Oh, no, you poor bastard. You got hit with the gift of prophecy.
It's just imagine the opposite though, right? Imagine someone else got this relationship to an element in movies, okay? So it's just like, oh, hey, we're doing another ocean adventure. I'm very excited for Kyle Ogre to show up dehydrated. This is the movie where he gets really dry and we're all sad about it.
Call him Dry Ogre. Let's go.
That was actually really good.
Thank you.
Bob, edit it so I said that.
That's how it works, for sure.
What?
You can
Use
just
an
say it
AI.
on your own, and then it's easier for him to edit.
You tell me I have this fucking 4090 GPU and I can't AI make myself steal a joke? Damn. Where the hell were we? Right, Celebi entered and all things got disheveled. Anyways, they say that Celebi only appears when everything is peaceful. He probably isn't around because something worrying is happening in the jungle.
You Celebi,
What an
you lazy
asshole.
bitch.
Stupid fair weather legendaries. Jesus.
Fucking, he only comes in to work his shift at the convenience store when it's perfectly safe. The thing's on fire right now and no one will put out the flames.
Now, if this was the same Celebi from the Zorro arc movie, sure, his experiences with humans have left him deeply traumatized. I kinda get it. There is a town nearby, shit goes down. This is clearly not that Celebi. So
No.
is he just an asshole?
Yes.
Okay.
I feel
Glad
like
we
we've
cleared that
heard
up.
legends about legendaries like this before. It's like, yeah, they only show up when it's safe. And I think it might have been Celebi before. I think
But
that they're all...
Here's the thing. We know there's an Avengers portal that can open at any point in time with 27 Celebis.
We do.
And not one of them gives
Or
a shit.
they're all the same Celebi. It's hard to know.
Well, we know at least this one is not the same Celebi.
Yes.
I don't know that we're sure about that.
You think this Celebi, like, I don't know, traveled so fast it became a shiny?
Maybe it's redshifted.
I was about to say, do you think this Celebi is race faking? And then I walked that back. Jesus. Oh, God. I hate this onion.
This Celebi isn't made of celery, it's made of rhubarb.
Ooh, fair.
They also say that when Celebi left, it left an egg behind that he brought back from the future. Coco stares at the fireworks. In the crowd, Coco sees a parent and child. Ash says that's a family. Coco says, family.
My nakama.
Dougie Jones.
You know, they should have gotten Dougie Jones actor to play Coco. That
Kyle
would've been great.
MacLachlan?
Yeah, they should have gotten Kyle MacLachlan to play.
I think Kyle MacLachlan being in Pokemon at all would be delightful.
It would have been the highlight. Like, it was all watching every Pokemon movie and watching all of Twin Peaks was worth it for this moment.
You're right.
Man, can you imagine if like you boot up Pokemon 10th Gen and the professor is just David Lynch?
Sweet God.
We live in a world of Pokemon. Elaborate on that. No.
I could, like, the David Lynch's hairstyle and everything translates to the world of Pokemon way too well.
David Lynch professor sees a dude with a Melmetal and he's just like, you think that's a Pokemon? Get real. Very opinionated, this Poke professor. Coco thinks about family and then climbs up a pole trying to see where he came from in the jungle. He says a bunch of words, as in the same word over and over, because he's a Pokemon. That's how that works. And then he runs off. Ash follows. They go further and further into the jungle. Ash is really getting tired and like, oh my God, I have made so many mistakes. Eventually, Dada drops in, catching Ash and Pikachu in like vines and hanging them upside down. He starts to lecture Coco for saying human words and bringing them here. Coco yells at him for knowing he was a human the whole time and not telling him. Dada says he didn't tell him about being a human because he didn't want him to be sad. And then he explains,
Understandable.
You're a human and I'm not your real Dada. We cut to James at the Biotope lab late at night. He's finding out they put some research on pause 10 years ago for some reason. They think Dr. Zed is hiding something. Dada shows Coco and Ash the abandoned lab he found much earlier in the movie. He gives Coco the necklace and tells Coco how he was abandoned as a child and how Dada couldn't abandon him. He throws him a photo of him and his parents. Dada tells Coco he might have made a mistake. Now Coco must decide what to do with this place. And then Dada leaves. Back at the lab, Team Rocket is fucking around. They have the key to the doctor's room when a Cramorant flies up and eats it and flies away.
Great.
Yeah.
Cramorant is like the perfect power scale rival to all of Team Rocket here.
It's incredible. Absolute unit.
Who would win, these three terrorists or a bird who swallows shit? Ash says that watching them talk reminded him of his dad.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, what?
Ash says he told the other kids at his school about his goal and they laughed, but his dad told him the map to your goal is inside yourself. If you give up, your dreams will never come true. What?
I assume immediately after this, his dad exploded.
Maybe this
Like,
is
it was-
canonical to Marvel's. He got Thanos snapped.
Yeah, I was going to say it was like a Marvel style. Just, yeah, he's then vaporized or melted.
Please.
Yeah.
This is what makes this the alternate timeline. He met his fucking father ever.
See, no, there's a much more tragic origin here where Pikachu is so powerful. It did Thunderbolt once, and then Ash's father got eviscerated like the Final Fantasy 14 gif of the dude staring into the light. Just gone. And Ash will never know.
And Dahlia doesn't care.
Delia? Black Dahlia? Yeah, Delia wasn't there. She doesn't know. No one knows but Pikachu was dropped on his head, so now he doesn't know. It's kind of like the whole like
This is
Dragon
really
Ball thing.
complicated. Maybe
It
too
is so
complicated.
tragic. Such a sad story, Pokemon. Ash says, I'll tell you, families can sure be a mystery, huh? Yes! Yours! Specifically on the dad part! What the hell? Coco and Ash search the lab for signs of Coco's family. They recognize the insignia as being biotopes, and they're like, oh, hey, that research, we can go there. Oh, that's great. Smart idea, Ash. Dada is visited by the Elder. Dada wonders how he could be a dad, because he never had one, so he could never become one. The Elder says that they haven't seen a Celebi in a while. The last time they were visited was right before the Elder found Dada. Mysteries. Anyway, he says there's definitely a purpose in these events of Dada adopting Coco. Dada's like, hey, what if I saw the rest of that flashback from earlier? So he flashes back to the hurt Rufflet. He used a special move to heal the Rufflet, but it took a lot out of him. Coco wants to learn the move, but only certain Zarude can use it, according to Dada. Dada takes off his purple cape after thinking about this, and he sits down next to the now sprouted trees from the berries they planted earlier. Ash and Coco journey to find the Biotope lab. When they happen upon it, Team Rocket is clearly exhausted and seemingly starving inside and freak out because they see Ash. Jesse is talking about how there's Pokemon food and we should eat that. James says Pokemon food gives him gas, and she just screams, "Find that winged wacko!"
Yeah, they're eating the gorilla chow.
Yes.
That's what their regress to is like. Yeah, it's $20 for like 30 pounds. It's all we can afford right now. We just gotta soak it in water.
They spent all their money on the outfits. They can't afford lunch.
They're used to eating Pokemon food, yes.
Inside the lab, Sharon gives Coco and Ash a tour. Zed comes into the room and he notices the ring necklace on Coco's neck. He's disturbed by the picture they brought of Coco and his parents. He then says, "Then that would mean this is Al." Apparently, Coco's real name is Al, and his parents, Mr. and Mrs. I shit you not, Molybdenum, were his parents. They discovered the spring in the jungle and got a water sample from it. Zed is disturbed that Coco was raised by Pokemon. Zed's like, well, there's one way to confirm this real quick. Let me just take a magnifying glass with no glass inside of it and put that around the metal ring, and then they light up with blue LEDs. And he's like, that confirms it. And also there was data in that. And also a car accident happened, and Coco went missing along with his parents. His parents died in that, and I had nothing to do with that.
Yeah, there was a car accident in the forest, and it was no one's fault.
It was no one's fault. Probably that dreadnought from earlier in the movie. Pikachu should somehow have to translate this, really, but Coco just understands the whole story. They found data inside the pendant that shows the healing spring. They demand that Coco show them the way. Zed says, do it for your parents' dream. Do it for them. Coco runs off and leaves Ash and the others behind. He eventually also outruns Squovit, who has kind of been around for a few of these scenes, but I never thought it was necessary to bring up. Squovit yells a bunch at him about leaving him behind. He's real pissed about this. Coco keeps running all the way to the forest spring and wonders why they all knew him and why he was left in the forest. He then finds a tag on his back, and immediately a mech and multiple APVs bust through the jungle. This is another moment in the Pokemon movies where they went, haha, you helped us find this open-air giant landmark.
Right? We've been searching for this forever. We have nothing that flies.
Except for Ash Ketchum, who flew to this town.
Do you think like satellite imaging just doesn't work in the Pokemon universe because of all the weird fucking radiations that
Rayquaza kills any satellite that goes into orbit.
You know what, that's a good...
Yeah, there's no satellites in the universe. Rayquaza doesn't let that happen.
See, that's why Ash doesn't have a cell phone and can only call his mom at Pokemon centers. Like, the infrastructure is real hard when you can't get it go beyond suborbit or a dragon comes and wrecks your shit.
Yeah.
SpaceX was a company for 1 year in this universe.
Yes. Elon Musk would have been the villain of the divorced guy villain of a Pokemon movie, but he got eviscerated by Rayquaza.
Yeah, he was like, I'm going to take this rocket on a joyride. We're not even going to orbit. We're going to go suborbit. Rayquaza was like, no, you ain't. Coco, furious at Zed, attacks him, but the mech grabs Coco, and they walk off, tearing a trail through the entire jungle until Pikachu attacks. Ash says they came because that's what friends do, and Coco's like, what friends do? Immediately, Ariados's string shot them up.
Yeah, he just, like, the main problem is the mech, but he also commands, like, a set of Ariadoses
an
for this one
Ariados
scene.
army for this one scene.
Yeah, they were like a one-use summon item.
Yeah, there we go. It's like one of those like a Dragonite call-in members.
Like, I feel like your team should worry about you if you only keep 6 Ariadoses as your Pokemon team.
That is a little sus, yeah.
They seem to only exist to do evil.
Right.
I do wonder if it's like, well, if it's just like, if people like Ash who have a diverse team aren't weird. It's like most people aren't trainers like that. They just have like 7 of the same Pokemon.
Yeah, I think that would be a red flag in the Pokemon universe. It's just like, hey, what's up? I notice you have a whole team of Pokemon, but you don't battle. That's a little weird. And this Pokemon specialty is using String Shot. That's a little weird.
That's fine. They're low maintenance.
Why don't you mind your own fucking business?
How about you get off my fucking porch, Mr. from the city?
Do you need a fucking ladder so you can get off my back?
Now, see, he kept his office locked up consistently and got really pissed whenever anyone tried to go in because that's where his 6 Aria doses always were.
Could you imagine they get into his office and James is just like, ah! As all of them descend on him?
Yeah.
So after getting string shotted up, Coco, Pikachu, Ash, and Squovit get thrown into an APV, and Zed leaves them with Team Rocket. Team Rocket next to the APV, and like some guy guarding the door. Team Rocket is super jazzed. They're like, hey, we basically got Pikachu. He's in the APV. We're next to it and in charge of it. This rules, man. We got him. But then they think about it for a second. They're like, but that Cramorant just landed on top of the vehicle, and that's the one with the key. We're certain of this.
There's only one Cramorant in existence.
He's this movie's legendary?
Yes.
Wow.
Finally.
That's awesome.
Someone worthy of the box art.
Fuck it. Yeah, put Cramorant just huge on the poster.
Yeah, maybe if that was on the DLC is like the main key Pokemon, I would have got the DLC. I'm just saying.
They're like, come on to the Isle of Armor where you could get Cramorant.
The Cram Tundra.
The Cram. You and your team can go on a procedurally generated dungeon adventure to find the legendary Cramorant.
I would love nothing more, Pokemon Company.
That would be so fucking good. Oh man, I was hoping to get a 4th genie down here. No, you weren't. No one was.
It'll still be another couple years, and those words are
God.
fighting words.
Oh no, if a movie comes back and it's like it's the Enamorous movie, I'm gonna fucking spin out mentally.
Yeah.
We're like, you have an entire other gen after this, but you thought Enamorous.
Yes.
All right, do it. Hang an entire plot off of Enamorous. Go. Please.
The worst part is going to be seeing Enamorous animated. Because,
That's true.
oh boy.
It's so fucking
that bitch ugly.
It's so tragic. Also, like, the genies were like neat, but I never thought, this isn't done. Can we get another?
I need more.
I'm not full yet.
There's more story to be told here with this design.
God, what was it? Bob, the other day we were talking about how have they not done crazy versions of Staryu nowadays? Like, there should be another Staryu.
Mm-hmm.
And he looks like the Glaive from Krull.
Oh my God, Steel type Staryu.
It would whip so much ass. Anyway, Team Rocket thinks about this. They're like, what are we going to do about this? We want Pikachu to attack that Cramorant so it'll spit up the key like the thing earlier that we watched. Okay, here's our plan. Okay, we're gonna figure this out. Inside the vehicle, Coco's screaming angrily. And Data hears it, and so do the other Zarude. That scream, and then the mechs. And they're like, okay, we got to investigate this. The Elder sends various Zarude to investigate, and Data also charges off. The Alpha and Data discover this and send all the others back to inform the Elder. And they're going to team up to attack the mech. Inside the APV, Ash bites Pikachu's tail free so Pikachu can free itself from the string shot. Then Pikachu frees Ash from the string shot. They look at Coco, who rips himself loose. And then Coco tears free Squovit.
Look, Dungeon Master PCs can't solve the problem until the players do.
Outside the vehicle, James convinces the guy that Zed totally called them on the phone and he gets to take over. That guy's like, why are you so excited about this? Okay, I'll leave. So, Team Rocket's there. They got, it's so absurd. Visually, this is such an absurd moment. Jesse and Meowth are holding the Cramorant at a distance. James is opening the APV door. He's about to open it, and he times it up perfectly to open the door for Pikachu to come flying out, landing perfectly in Cramorant's mouth. They should get into sports. This level of coordination as a team is extraordinary.
They have had so much experience with Ash. They knew he was about to bust out of there.
They had
this down to a timed science.
Yeah, they just had to do the trigonometry to figure out the angle.
Yes.
That was it. They were like, oh, it's okay, and account for the wind condition.
You know Wobbuffet was the one doing that math. None of these bitches can count past 10.
Wobbuffet just slides the piece of paper over. And like, oh, shit. Pikachu getting caught in Cramorant's mouth. He uses Thunderbolt. Cramorant spits up the key. Jesse and Meowth are fright as well as Cramorant. Ash wants to thank James, but he's like, on the contrary, we should be thanking you.
Yeah, and then Ash is like, is it okay if we go? He's like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, have fun. It's whatever.
Do you think Ash knew that was Team Rocket at that point?
I don't think
or
he
he
did.
just looked at his scientist captors and was like, can I peace? Like, sure.
Yeah, whatever.
I mean, they opened the door for him, so it's a fair question, actually.
It's one of those things where he's like, he's not really asking if he's asking if I have to go through you.
The art style doesn't show it, but really Ash was stanced up like fucking Jotaro or whatever.
It's like, I'm gonna run in this direction, you're gonna want to stay right there.
God, that's just imagining the version of Pokemon that comes back. It's like Ash is now 16 and he looks like Jotaro.
Yeah.
God.
Now that's a
He has the
movie.
same thing. He has the same weird shit going on with his hair. It's like, is that his hat?
Right? Yes. That would be incredible.
And this is only possible because it's charred in the back because of so many thunderbolts from Pikachu.
They bring back Brock and he gets cockooined and he gets a hole punched through his chest. And
As Ash leaves and James is just completely ecstatic, Cramorant jumps on his head and tries to start swallowing him.
You know, it'd be weird if this didn't happen. James has been eaten by so many different Pokemon throughout the years that if Cramorant didn't try to eat him by the end of this movie, it'd be like, you left it on the table. What happened?
Look at these scraps. You didn't finish.
Right.
Data in the alpha, as the subtitles say, not my assessment, attack the mechs. The scientists are confused as to why they're attacking. Are you serious?
Right. They are literally, like, at this point, tearing the forest into pieces.
You have
mulching
literally torn up by now probably dozens of trees. How are you confused? How stupid can you be as a scientist?
Right? Like, I'm surprised Hexus isn't coming out of the top of your spider mech.
Right?
Yeah. This thing is a Metal Gear. Like, it literally is just a gigantic Metal Gear.
It's fucking Shagohod.
It's like the mech from the end of Revengeance.
Yes.
Like, this
It's
is
also
absurd.
the thing this reminds me of is it reminds me of the mechs that they have in Avatar. Like this
Yes,
whole
I
ending
was thinking
sequence
that.
makes me think of Avatar.
Yeah.
Also, can I just point out how fucking insane it is to be a guy in the Pokemon universe and be like, fuck the environment.
Yeah.
Right?
Like, bro, there's that thing up there is gonna come down and whip your ass if you don't respect the environment enough. And why are you out here like how do you do climate change denial when there's like a local deity right there who's like, no, I take care of that.
It's not climate change denial so much as it is him just looking down nature and going, you've had it too good for too long, you bitch, it's my turn.
Certainly no wild animals will come and kill me for this.
Surely.
Could you imagine there were countless stories like, yeah, this guy caused global warming for his area and a tiger fucking ate him. They said their mission statement was to to research better ways to have harmony between people and Pokemon. They are tearing up dozens of trees and go, why are they pissed? They have no idea what they mean.
No.
It's so much slower to bring the spider mech, too.
Uh-huh.
Like, hey, we're going through the jungle that we can fit this giant APV through. Should we bring another APV? Maybe some more of these sick-ass hover bikes? No, let's bring the walking battle mech.
That'll be really necessary for our research.
Why are they attacking us?
What is the name of the mech, the Metal Gear from 5?
Oh, that's the Philanthropist or something like that? It has a really weird name.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying really hard to remember it because this honestly possibly looks the most
Sahelanthropus,
like
yeah.
that one specifically.
No, because that one's on like standing straight up. Like,
Oh,
it's
that's
like a
true. That
two-legged-
one. Okay, so it is more like the Revengeance one.
Yeah.
Funny that the Revengeance one is more conservative than the one that happened in 5.
Yeah, the one that happened in like, what, 1970?
Yeah, the fucking 1970s had an Armored Core 6 mech. Just hanging out like, what's up? He looks like a cryptid. There's something really unsettling about how erect this Metal Gear is over here.
It is weird.
Anyways, Zed tries to leave, but then Coco stops him from leaving on his Star Wars speeder bike. He's like, no, fuck you. What are you doing? The other scientists are watching from inside the vehicle, and they're like, do you think that Zarud over there raised Coco? That's fucking crazy. That's it. That's all they're thinking right now. The mech keeps attacking, but Pikachu defends with Iron Tail. Ooh. This is the hype move of the movie, please.
I mean, Iron Tail's been the hype move for the last 20 years.
It does something. It does a couple things in this movie that are actually really amazing because it's Iron Tail. It hits a thing. In this one, Iron Tail is apparently a high frequency vibroblade.
Yeah, it turns it like you clearly have not seen enough of the Pokemon anime if you aren't expecting that.
Yeah, Volt Tackle was the thing for a while, but then they ditched that and went right back to
That's
Iron
true.
Tail, which is a little disappointing.
People were like, Volt Tackle is really cool. And they're like, well, what if Iron Tail was like a Heat Hawk, but better?
I mean, Iron Tail's way more dynamic.
What if Iron Tail let you do rules of nature?
Right?
Yeah, plus Iron Tail's cheaper to animate.
I don't even know about that because it lets him do actually dynamic fight scenes where he has to like move around something, whereas Volt Tackle really is a one-shot cool thing.
Yes, but with Volt Tackle, you have to animate the whole aura around him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think budget is an issue with the modern Pokemon movies. Like, they seem pretty content to just dump money,
Right.
even in the regular anime now.
Fair.
Data does this weird attack with a bunch of small energy shots, and I'm like, oh no, he's Vegeta-ing. This is not good. They kick up a bunch of smoke, however, and they just bail, and I'm like, now Vegeta should have just done that more
Right?
often.
Like, he should, that should be his last ditch effort to get away.
It's like,
Absolutely.
here's my final flash, and then he just runs.
Yes.
Oh, that Vegeta. He's really smart, actually.
Yeah, I mean, the villain will always wait for the smoke to clear. By that time,
It's
Vegeta's
true.
on the next planet.
Technically, man, Vegeta ran fast.
Yes.
That dude was like, I'm getting the fuck out of this planet. I didn't know Vegeta was like Porygon and just prepared for space travel in his normal.
Saiyans are. We've been over this. They can just survive in orbit and
If
just
it
out
makes
in
for a
space.
cool sequence involving
Yes.
meteorites or asteroids or whatever, or scientists and dads. The Zaruds get back to the Elder and appraise him of the situation. We then return to the fight. The
A
scientists...
captain's meeting.
Captain's meeting. Scientists, I'm so excited to no longer think that as the first fucking thing when people meet. Anyways, scientists are at the river near the giant tree and they confirm its water is from the spring. They do a scan of the tree, which shows a heat map of a vertical chamber in the middle of it, which I believe also happened in that Lucario movie where they did the scan and they were like, oh man, look at the energy veins going all throughout this. And I'm like, this is kind of like that. I like that. Remember that? Anyways, they're like, oh, it's the tree itself. Oh, that's crazy. And Zed goes, I don't fucking care about the tree. They shoot a fucking anchor into the heart of the tree. All the scientists start screaming. And Zed's like, I don't give a fuck about the spring. It's the tree that makes the spring special. So I'm going to shoot a giant anchor into it.
Yeah, I'm going to tear out the center of the tree and then it'll still work. It's like, why do you think that?
Oh my god, it's the legendary Pokemon Mew. It shoves entire arm into its mouth and rips out its organs.
Yeah, like, I'm going to take its heart. That's all I need.
I am a good scientist.
God, I need an award for being too good at science.
This movie's plot took me out a little bit because it is so similar to the backstory from Power Rangers Wild Force.
Oh my god.
Oh, fuck.
The only thing different is that the guy did not kill Coco's parents because he was cucked. That's like the only difference.
He was science cucked.
Yeah, but he wasn't like, I liked your mom, but she went with him, so I killed them both.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised it didn't have that twist.
All of the Zarud immediately go to attack. This is an all-out war now. Dada begs Coco to run away with Ash because they can't possibly win. Coco isn't going to back down. Dada laments his ability to protect everyone, to protect Coco. They then flash back to him saving the Rufflet and the Braviary attacking him afterwards regardless. He resolves to fight no matter what. That is what he will do in the future. Zed screams that everyone else is all the same. But he's the special boy and no one else is as smart or as brilliant as him.
This man is terrifying because his objectives are obscure by all of his crazy. Like he doesn't like have a goal that you understand, but he's going about it the wrong way. This guy just, there's nothing in his brain but being a mad scientist.
Yeah, that you think that because he's so obsessed with getting the healing water, he has like some sick relative or something, anything to connect him directly to that. But it seems to be no, he's just insane.
He flashes, we're going to cover more of this in a second. He flashes back to Coco's parents, who sacrificed their research because the Zarude live on the tree. Zed screams at them, stopping for a bunch of Pokemon. What is wrong with you? Coco's dad says he knows he's making the right decision. Inside Zed's office in the current timeline, Team Rocket find a vlog from Zed 10 years ago, screaming about how they could save so many people if they just did the research and didn't back down. And then we cut to a Metal Gear Solid 1 Jeep chase scene of him chasing down Coco's parents and causing them to crash. They shove Coco into a canister and send him down the river before the Jeep explodes.
Yeah, they had one of those Superman like pods to put the baby in.
Yeah,
right?
they were like, we will send you out, Kal-El.
Is this a Moses thing or is this a Superman thing?
Unclear.
Oh, wait, that's the same thing. Never mind.
Right. Yeah.
Also, the greatest tragedy of this sequence is that Lisa Ortiz finally showed up in this Pokemon movie, and then she got killed.
That was fast.
Oh, wow.
Isn't she also the head scientist?
No, the head scientist started talking, and I'm like, oh, you're not Lisa Ortiz, you're Fujiko.
Darn it, I was like, I recognize her.
Wait, was Sharon Fujiko?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Pretty sure, yeah.
I didn't fucking... Okay.
I'm pretty sure. I didn't check. That's just how it sounded to me.
You're like, that's a Fujiko. I've determined. Sometimes that happens. In the modern timeline, the scientists working for Zed realize he's a fucking psychopath. I don't know why it took them to anchor.
Right? Yeah, you'd think that like when they locked up the kids, maybe.
No.
Like, there's no way this guy has never brained somebody with a fire extinguisher while they were working for him.
Dada is trying to rally up the other Pokemon of the jungle to help. They fucking hate him because he's a Zarude. So he makes a powerful speech about how this is to save Coco because Coco means so much to them. We need to save Coco and the jungle. All right, everybody? So stop fucking throwing shit at me.
I'm being very patient right now.
Let me be real. I could use one of these vine whips to kill all of you.
Looking at you, Whimsicott.
The Nuzleafs threw the fucking orange berries. I don't know why Whimsicott's in the line of fire here.
Because it's got too much sass. Meanwhile, Zed is in the mech and unstoppable, and he's laughing maniacally. He grabs Coco, gets cocky, and then gets vine whipped by Dada, who's glowing with an awesome power, cape flowing in the wind. Meanwhile, back at the tree, the Elder and the Alpha just start saying some shit about water raises the tree, and then the other one goes, the light shines down and turns the trees into jungle. And then the first one goes, of course, the trees are the Pokemon, and you are the light. All the Pokemon start chanting and stomping. It's a whole thing.
Horse shit. Oh no, our religion turned out to be horse shit. Wait, no, it was a metaphor the whole time.
Oh, thank God. And it was an apt one at that. Just give me a second to figure it out.
Uh-huh.
All the jungle Pokemon shoot mysterious pink beams at the mech, which I get. What were you saying?
It was like maybe it's petal something.
Maybe maybe
because it's Senbon and Sakura. But I'm not sure how Pokemon are using it.
Oh my God.
Bob, it wasn't Senbon Sakura or whatever. It was obviously Mega Man X1, the arm capsule. Come on now. The Elder says all the jungle Pokemon, they're the roots circulating lifeblood, and for the first time, the jungle breathes. Does this mean we were mistaken?
Yes.
Hey, that was one of those open-ended questions, sir. We were not supposed to answer, even if it was obvious. Dada, attacking the mech more, forms super giant glowy vine arms and fists to punch the hell out of the mech. This is sick as hell. And he rips the arm off. However, doing all these attacks is making him suffer really, really badly. The Elder wants to get Dada to the spring. He gets him to the spring, but the spring isn't working and Coco's really upset. We cut back to the battle. The jungle Pokemon keep fighting the mech. Dada tells Coco to stop making that sad face about him, not healing and stuff. Dada says to Coco he was worried about whether or not he could be a parent, but he tells Coco he's glad that he's his son. They flash back to Coco saying, after the Rufflet thing, once again, this has all been the Rufflet thing, that he would have to protect Coco no matter what. Coco says that he would protect his Dada. Coco cries. He says he's going to use his Dada move to save him. The Elder says that doesn't... Dude, you're human. That's not going to work. Coco screams a lot while trying to make it work. His hands start to glow. He screams, Dada! And the forest starts forming the pollen of vines and energy coming out of Coco. It is amazing. And they go directly into Coco back, just like the move Dada uses. The forest starts to glow and grow all around them, and he heals Dada. Crazy. Humans are Pokemon.
Yup. Turns out human is a cultural construct.
Yeah, that's great. I'm going to need you to stop saying you are legally common law married to this Ditto, though. That needs to stop now.
Come on.
It's okay, we found all Pokemon have human DNA in some form.
Did Mewtwo say that?
I can tell you exactly how this Ditto has human DNA.
No, don't do that. You should not. Detective Pikachu was enough to deal with you, mister.
Maybe I'm not that sad the podcast is ending.
Just like the end of this film, Agro's just trying to upset the audience so they can go in peace. The scientists are like, oh, right, we could be helping. Yeah, the control panel's on the back of that. If you hit that, they would disable the whole thing.
That motherfucker's been watching this robot fight the whole jungle for 10 minutes.
I know, it's terrible. So the Pokemon get this information and they're like, oh, we got a coordinated attack against this. Okay, Pikachu, you got this? Okay. And then all the Zarude and all the other Pokemon start tossing fucking Pikachu around. You can hear the Harlem Globetrotters whistle theme going as they have an excellent ball game today, passing it around, avoiding attacks from the mech. It's a really incredible teamwork from the Pokemon. You excited for this one, Bob?
Sweet sassy Mo Lassie, of course I am.
God.
I went off script there. Give me 1 second. So they finally move Pikachu around to the back. Pikachu does the cool thing. The Alpha Zarude tosses him into position to do the Iron Tail, which vertically cuts through this metal panel box thing, and it explodes. It was such a cool looking fucking Iron Tail. Might be the coolest.
They did blare the Revengeance theme right then.
It was pretty cool. Rules of Nature was... Rules of nature, but that law that Zarude had was wrong. And the time has come. Dada was revived, by the way. That's what healing does, in case you didn't know. The Zarude cannot believe this. Even the fucking Zarude are like, holy shit, humans are Pokemon.
I mean, previous movies clarified that they just call aliens Pokemon. They call weird things from another dimension Pokemon.
I know, but the Zarude didn't watch every Pokemon movie, so they didn't know.
Right? They're insulated from watching all the Pokemon movies.
Zed flees the encounter. I am shocked. This man got out of there faster than the Zarude did after Dada did the Vegeta attack.
Yeah.
Incredible. They're like, wait, the cockpit's empty. And he's just elsewhere running. And as he runs, he accidentally comes across Coco and the others. And Coco's like, oh, not that motherfucker. And starts chasing after him. The Zarude are like, no, Coco, don't kill him. They're like, you can't let your anger take over. And I'm like, where is this coming from? That's your whole thing. You're just a bunch of...
I'm looking at this child going, where's your fucking rage? Get him!
Get his ass. Coco leaps at Zed as he's at the end of a log cliff thing and he over rapids and he's like, and he tries to dodge and he falls off. And then Coco saves Zed?
Or maybe hangs him out to die.
He extended a vine and he's hanging from it from off the edge of the log. And Zed's like, I'm not going to let it end here. And
sky burial.
They just leave him there. They just leave him
there. That Cramorant's going to get him.
Yeah, it's not going to be fast.
No. It never is this Cramorant.
At least he'll finally have a good meal, you know?
Could you imagine it's the scene from fucking Return of the Jedi where just he fucking lands on the pit and then rolls in? And it's that for him, for Zed rolling into Cramorant's mouth, which is huge now.
I was like, how big is Cramorant?
He Gigantamax.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Only a fucking psychopath would be like, what if we made Cramorant bigger? He could just eat a whole building. This would be great. Everyone around him is like, you should be in prison. You're a danger to modern society. So, they just leave Zed out there. Dada hugs Coco. The humans start rebuilding the jungle and regrowing the trees they messed up. The Zarude postulate about how the jungle belongs to all the Pokemon within it. And then they confront the scientists and Ash. The scientists promise to not damage the jungle any further. Please don't kill us. And the Zarude break off pieces of their vine wrappings, which they crumble in their hands, and it becomes golden particles like pollen that disseminate and regrow the trees. Ooh, ah. The elder tells Coco that he helped create a bridge between humans and Pokemon. He says that Coco has the heart of both creatures because he is both human and Zarude. The Zarude song from the beginning of the movie starts pounding loudly. Ash is leaving. Coco tells him, now Ash, Coco are friends.
Kiss.
Good job, Ash. You made friends with an otherkin.
Some said it was impossible. Dada meets with the Zarude. They've both been invited to the troop. Coco, however, wants to go on a journey and find out how Pokemon and humans bond because he loves both Pokemon and humans. They have an argument about it. They growl a bunch. Dada says, do whatever you want. Rawr, oh, I'm so mad. And Coco runs off, saying, everyone, take care of my Dada. Dada says this is the only way he could have it be. This is how he wants to let him go. He then tells the other Zarude to do what they talked about earlier. Coco meets up with Ash. A giant explosion of water shoots up out of the tree, the heart tree itself, and all the Pokemon see Coco off, including Dada. Dada internally monologues about how Coco can create a bridge between humans and Pokemon because he's his son and he's proud of him. Coco looks up at them, tears up, and says goodbye to Ash, and then runs off to have his own adventure separately from Ash.
Which feels weird because I feel like Coco would not have been able to build any bridges without Ash as like the in-between.
It would help, at first at least.
Because he has no human language capabilities.
Yeah, that's not true. He could say family, friends, Dougie Jones.
For a lot of this movie, I kind of expected that somehow this would be the origin story of Go, the other protagonist from Pokemon Journeys.
Oh wow, no, that'd be what?
Well, because I've never seen it, and he's like, well, it doesn't Go kind of have like a red and black color scheme going on the same way as this character, and they both kind of have darker skin than Ash.
They
Is
do.
This secretly the origin of this character?
That would have been great if that would make that character into like a cool character.
Also, I really think that the missed opportunity to not have Dada be voiced by Scott McNeil.
God.
That would have been pretty good. He is very Piccolo-cal.
Yeah, we just needed to have him do a Piccolo voice. Then when he uses his vines, he can go like Scott McNeil does when he does the laser spit.
Elsewhere on a TV, Team Rocket is watching it at a diner, and the news reporter says, with an anonymously sourced video of a car wreck almost 10 years ago, Dr. Zed's involvement in the incident seems to be almost certain. Biotope will soon hold a conference, and they just laugh. Ash calls his mom from the Pokemon Center. He's happy to see her face, which scares her shitless. She's like, what the fuck did you do? What did you do? What do you mean you're happy to see me? What the fuck?
I remember Dad finally. Oh no.
Holy shit. What a way to end these movies. I remember Dad. Horror movie stab. In the forest, Dada is visited by a shiny Celebi because everything's fine now. I guess Celebi will show up. You fucking piece of garbage.
I hate him.
They swing and fly around the jungle while the ending monologue says a bunch of Pokemon stuff. It's the same sort of monologue, world of Pokemon sort of thing we've been getting these entire movies, except for maybe the first one. I think it did it for the tiniest bit. And that's it. We get a credit sequence, which features Cramorant and Squovit dancing to the ending song. It's cute. Then Cramorant eats Squovit and flies off. Other Pokemon appear briefly next to the log they were standing on. Eventually, Squovit makes his way back to on stage and sits down. Cramorant flies up. Squovit looks pissed, but Cramorant gives it a berry, and all is forgiven. They dance some more to the music, and the credits end with them waving. This is how the Pokemon movies end. That Nash remembered his dad. So, we've got to get to our all-important segments for seemingly what is the last time. But before we do, did you know you got early access to this episode over on Patreon? Patreon.com/GB Podcast. If you appreciated the Pokemon Go to the Movies series, then maybe head on over there. See what else you can get early. Who knows what is available here in the future of the Pokemon franchise in animated format or our various other podcast series. I hear I might escape the bleach hole after over 4 years in the pit. Who knows?
Thank God.
You can finally stop drinking.
Yes, that is why all of my Bacardi disappears.
No, the bleach. You've been chugging it for 4 years, Dan. You have to let it go.
But my throat is so clean. I feel so clean. Through bleach be purged. Anyways, that's patreon.com/GB Podcast. First segment. Whimsy meter. How whimsical was this movie? We do this on a scale of 1 to 10. And let's start with Bob.
We have two separate musical numbers in this. There's a lot of whimsy in there just being this cool jungle with a bunch of animals living in it and Pokemon just being totally chill dudes and some not, but there's enough of togetherness there that I can feel the whimsy pretty strong in this. I'm going to give it an 8.
Chris Wolfhard.
Yeah, this has a magic jungle, a kid raised by wolves, an environmentalist message. 8, easy. This is the most whimsical we've had in a while, frankly.
Dr. Agro.
What if Tarzan took place in the woods from Princess Mononoke, but also there was a pink Celebi? I think we're pushing a 9 here.
Shibuya-gato.
We saw his parents get run off the road and die in an explosion.
Whimsically.
Yes, there was whimsy, to be
So,
fair.
you saw Bambi's parents get fucking killed, mom gets shot. That's still a whimsical movie.
Yeah, and this is way more whimsical than that. This is the end of Metal Gear Solid 1.
There were Metal Gears. Is that whimsy? Really?
Sometimes whimsy is horrible military nations rising up against the world government.
This child at one point in time lost 3 parents. Yes, there's whimsy of him running around and wearing human clothes and having ice cream and watching fireworks, but also people die. People were actually killed in this movie. I'm giving it a 6 because yes, there's whimsy in it. Yes, there's joy, but there is also murder. Never forget.
Well, we didn't see anyone consumed by the flames this time, unlike Power of Us.
We saw them lying limp from the POV of the child.
But it's okay. We got the aerial shot of the explosion. We don't know that they were consumed by the flames. They didn't reach out to the child, and we get to see in a hyper animated fashion them be consumed by the flames. You know what? I'm gonna say it all reinforces the whimsy, frankly, because you need to have the mechanical in order to have the nature contrast against it, which is the most whimsical theme, I think, of all of them, right? It all is in service.
This is almost Ferngully, as we talked about earlier.
Yes, it really is. I'm also gonna have to give this a 9. Yeah, it's really fucking hitting hard this time. We're ending pretty strong here. Speaking of ending pretty strong here, next up is the Dex check. How good was the Pokemon representation in this film? So for the last time, I have to read every Pokemon that was in this film. Here we go.
God.
Let's
Good
go.
luck.
Pikachu, Meowth, Wobbuffet, Chansey, Ariados, Wooloo, Dubwool, Mana. Oh, right. Mana was in this. Cinderace, Cinccino, Alakazam, Hitmontop, Hitmonlee, Machamp, Tyrogue, Lickitung, Jigglypuff, Marill, Zweilous, Azumarill, Poliwag, Clink, Clang, Krabby, Ferrothorn, Mime, Luxio, Sneasel, Ralts, Poliwhirl, Vulpix, Rockruff, Machop, Dreepy, Berserker, Thievel, Stunfisk, Golurk, Zarude, Celebi, Cutiefly, Rabombi, Cherubi, Cherum, Seedot, Flygon, Vibrava, Squovit, Greedent, Morlul, Shiinotic, Stunky, Dwebble, Flapple, Lotad, Lombre, Cottony, Whimsicott, Fungus, Amoongus, Caterpie, Hoot, Oddish, Gossifleur, Cramorant, Combee, Roggenrola, Dreadnought, Pidove, Drifloom, Boldor, Phalanx, Rillaboom, Inteleon, Ninjask, Vileplume, Executor, Ludicolo, Execute, Heracross, Rufflet, Boltund, Blipbug, Dottler, Impidimp, and Eldegoss. Holy shit, Impidimp was
Yeah, I didn't even notice Impidimp.
A little bit at the start when Ash is
he was in
running
the
down
town
the steps.
running across some parasols.
Yeah,
Wow.
I noticed him right at the beginning.
So when Coco
locked
was
in.
a
oh
child,
shit, Impidimp.
No, when Ash
so
was
when
in the
Ash
city.
met Coco.
Like just before that, yeah.
Oh,
Like he's running out after calling his mom on the phone.
Okay, wow.
And he's just like, yeah, no, I'm out of here. And you can see Impidimp at the top of the steps.
And Eldegoss is the last one, in case I didn't say it. That is the full list of Pokemon in this movie. We are starting with Chris Wolfhard. On a scale of 1 to 10, how good was the Dex in this movie?
I feel like while there was a lot of Pokemon in this, they didn't really jump out at me. I didn't jump and clap and go, that's my guy. Although if I had noticed Impidimp, maybe that would have happened. Fucking who knows. So, but this is a decent lineup. Like, there's a lot of the Pokemon I associate with Sword and Shield. You definitely saw some of them. Like, there was a whole scene about Phalanx, who I think is one of the more notable Pokemon of that gen.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I'll give it a 6. That seems about right.
Dr. Aggro.
Speaking as part of the contingent that did see Impidimp, Chris is absolutely right that there weren't a lot of like, oh shit, it's that guy. But it seems like every time I turned around, I was like, oh, cool, one of them. They did a really good job of having a really solid, like, these are the Pokemon that live in the jungle set. It was a very thoughtful selection. Zarude are awesome. Dark grass monkeys for the win. It was kind of weird that Ash seemed to not have anything but Pikachu in this movie.
Yeah, this is the start of a new adventure for Ash, I guess.
Right, yeah. So he's like, all right, and he just like throws the rest of them in the bin again. So while there weren't like a lot of great standouts, it was a really solid, thoughtful list. I'm gonna give it like an 8.
Shibigato.
Yeah, it's an interesting lineup. I definitely think the jungle specific selection was very well thought out, very good picks. Shocked that Ninjask got mentioned, let alone included in this.
Yeah, I clapped.
I was delighted. I think the Galar variety specifically, pretty solid picks. Shout outs to my boy Cramorant. I do find it very funny that both Inteleon and Cinderace are very prominent in certain shots.
Mm-hmm.
And in the movie about the grass monkey, there is 0 Rillaboom. Just none. It is the actual funniest choice they could have made. Not even in the jungle, you don't even see a Grookey. It is delightful. Overall, pretty solid picks. There are a couple mons I would have liked to see more of, but I can't really complain. I think the ones that were well utilized were really well utilized for what it is. I'm giving it a 7.
Okay. There was one Rillaboom. I think it was one of the battle shots in the city, but it is like detached from the movie entirely. That would be like, oh, that was a great movie for Inteleon who held an ice cream cone. I think
He walked by the ice cream shop. I don't know if he had one or not.
I completely when Ash and Coco are getting ice cream in the background, there's a guy with his Inteleon just walking up to order, and it's very funny. But I didn't notice the Rillaboom, so.
That's when that Trender's like talking to Ash. He's like, hey, did you know? And Teleon's like 007, haha. And then he's like, actually, he's 009, sir. And then he's like, don't fucking ruin this for me. We tried really hard at this. I actually feel really great about the Pokemon they chose for this film. The only thing for me is that in some of the other movies, not a lot of them, but some of the other movies, you see really clever use of a Pokemon and how it integrate into society, right? Like, oh, this sequence, this idea was written for this Pokemon, you know?
Right.
And so while this is a great list of Pokemon, very well curated, it doesn't have a lot of moments like that. I might argue it has no moments like that outside of the movie's legendary.
I mean, they were all utilized to help like basketball around Pikachu.
And also the Vine abilities and stuff like that. Like it's neat and that's neat, but I'm going to give this an 8. It is a great selection of Pokemon. They did get most of what I think is really cool about 8th gen. I could have done with the really cool Steel Bird or whatever that is done by the Mega Man designer.
Oh, yeah. I feel like they didn't want to, like he just wouldn't fit in this location.
Corviknight's too big and too cool. He could have gotten his own fucking movie.
Well, with the taxi system, they could have had the taxi be how Ash got here.
That's true. That would have explained
it. Then that would set this movie in Britain, and they didn't want to do that. Absolutely did not.
No, you just land, right?
Okay.
And then Ash goes, thank God I'm not in Britain. He used the taxi to get the hell out of the Galar region.
Yeah, and he's like covered in slime, and he's like shaking it off his hands. He's like, "Thank God."
And then on the taxi behind him is a Mr. Rhyme with like a cup, like he's begging for money.
Yeah, the one that I wish they would have included, because there's a shot of a Seedot hanging from a tree branch, and then some Pokemon run past and like knock him off, and it's really funny. I wish they had Applin as well, even just one. Just a single Applin.
Yeah.
That's it.
I appreciate Flapple being here at least. You know, I really appreciate that. Yeah, see, that's the thing. Like Appleton. I was like, hopefully we see one of those by the end of this movie, but the movie's probably like, yeah, Appleton's gonna really contribute. Is that what we're saying here?
He does a lot of heavy lifting for me, and that's important.
That's a fact. Anyway, I'm giving it an 8. Bob, where are you coming in on the Dex check?
Yeah, it doesn't utilize the Pokemon super well, but it does like achieve the thing of, oh yeah, we feel like we're living in a world of Pokemon. They give everyone a partner Pokemon when he's in town. We see a ton of Pokemon just living in the jungle. And Flygon gets a lot of screen time. A lot. And Ninjask gets to do something. Even if it's just throw around Pikachu, Ninjask gets a major part of the movie because of that.
And that feels really cool.
So I'm going to give it a 9. I'm going to say they went off pretty well on this.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Well, that moves us to our next category, a very sane one. It's a yes or no. Could this movie have been better solved with a gun? This is the gun check. And we're starting with Dr. Aggro.
100%. Even if you assume that the giant spider mech is bulletproof, that guy spent a lot of time outside of it on that hoverbike going through the jungle. I think the Zarude should have been armed if they were so concerned about being strong. I think Mandemus should have given up the guns and apes together fire.
Shiba Yagato, what do you think?
Yes. I think if you respect nature and you want to preserve it, you should also fear it appropriately. If Coco's parents had been concealed carrying 10 years ago, none of this would have devolved into the disaster it became. If any of the scientists on Dr. Zed's team were concealed carrying, they could have just shot that motherfucker the moment he went mask off, and we would be done. We would be good. They would just leave.
Yeah, not only is this movie better solved with a gun, I genuinely thought, they were doing the Metal Gear Solid 1 Jeep chase. I thought he was going to pull a gun from the glove compartment.
Yeah, I figured he would go down there and finish the job.
No, I mean the parents. They would fire back at Zed to fend him off. And if they had, then this movie wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
So yeah. Bob, what do you think?
Yeah, this is really cut and dry. Even if it's just Ash has to bring the gun, Ash has a chance. Before those Arios even come out, he'd have shot him in the head already. It's like, you captured my friend. I kill people who do that.
Ash goes on a spree at the DMV because it took too long, and he considered that capturing his friend. Very unfortunate. Chris Wolfhart, what do you think?
Yeah, just pop him.
This guy doesn't even have super armor like any of the other movie villains.
Like it should just be like a wizard's moment instantly.
It's true.
Where Ash
God.
just whips the Luger out of his sleeve and blows the guy away.
He's the best Pokemon trainer in the world.
Like Coco dives after him, hits him with the whip, ties him to the end of the log over the river, climbs back up, and he's like, oh yeah. And then Coco turns around and pulls a gun out of his loincloth. Just shoots him and leaves him there.
Jesus.
You gotta shoot like non-vital parts. He just needs to bleed out there.
That's all.
Oh, God.
That's all.
To summon the Cramorant.
Cramorant smells blood and he immediately pounces.
Yeah, we get one shot of the water as it starts to shake, and then a Gigantamax Cramorant starts coming up out of the rapids, and we cut away.
Cilia and Cramorant.
Oh my God. Well, that does it for the cut check. We now move on to the MVP, the most valued Pokemon. Who is bringing it in this film? And we're starting with Shiba Yagato.
Beautiful, perfect Cramorant.
Easy breezy, beautiful.
That's my goat.
Yeah, Cramorant is a very important part of the plot here.
Yeah, he's actually plot relevant. It's not just my personal biases. It's also that he exposes a guy for killing people by the end of the movie, secondhand.
So I have another incredibly load-bearing plot-wise Pokemon here for my nomination, Dreadnought.
Understandable.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Imagine how this movie goes if that Dreadnought doesn't do any of that shit. Coco just makes it away.
I don't know.
He just leaves. He's too fast for Ash. We proved that later in the film.
Yep.
It's still, he's in the city. Like, Ash has the advantage.
But
there.
later, when
later
he cared,
in the film,
he climbed the pole, figured out where the jungle was, and left. There's no way Ash is going to stop him.
I don't know. I feel like he can't make it out of the city without being distracted by some Pokemon.
Nope. Dreadnought was the only one because it was so big, and he was worried about Dreadnought being upset. Not the city he was rampaging. He was worried about Dreadnought being upset. Other Pokemon wouldn't have given one shit. Because reminder, Coco doesn't upset Dreadnought. The car does.
Mm-hmm.
So everything else would have gone swimmingly. That Dreadnought is the reason this movie happened. Because reminder, scientists don't find the fucking spring because they're blind dumbasses for the rest of time. Celebi's like, I'm fucking bored. Can I come back yet? No. There's a vague apprehension about the area. Yeah, speaking of which, I'm going to write if anyone gives this MVP category to fucking Celebi.
But that future egg was so important that was never mentioned again.
I assume that future egg was
Data.
Yeah.
That's what I thought,
It's
yeah.
so bizarre
That's fucking
that's
weak.
It's such a bizarre, needless plot point just to be like, and Celebi's here too.
It was straight up Yoshi egg is what it was.
Fucking dog shit celery.
He's the
I
worst.
hate him so much.
I think we found a worst legendary on this entire fucking podcast series. I need to think back on what all the legendaries was and be like, Hoop God, you know what? You at least stayed out of the other films. We're good. We're good, Hoop God.
I think specifically Shiny Celebi is the worst one.
You think?
The worst Celebi Rankin Bass opening music starts playing.
I love this. They play it every Christmas.
The problem with Celebi.
Bob, who is your MVP?
Well, it's got to be Coco. We have
There it
confirmation
is.
that he is a Pokemon.
God damn.
He saves the Phalanx. He saves his Dada.
We could have had so many more nominations this entire series. You know how many times I could have given to Jessie?
Right? It's like, oh, her outfit was great.
Best dressed. Dan, that's not the category. Don't care. Yeah, I guess Coco was important in this film. Some sort of bridge between Pokemon and people or some shit. Also, there was that part at the end when he talked to Zed and he was like, all living things die low. And then he used the aura. That was pretty cool. Oh, wait, that was in reverse order. He used the aura to heal his dad. And then he said to Zed, all living things die alone. And then he left him to die.
Right. That was after him and Ash fused so they could do the final attack.
And then Ash was just saying mean statements to the mech the whole movie. That's basically what we watched if you were high as shit. Yes. Chris Wolfart, who's your MVP?
Ariados.
You want to explain?
It gave everybody. If you see somebody with a bunch of Ariados, leave.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's like a PSA, like the dude's bopping around at a party with like his 3 Ariados around him. Just go. Don't take anything he gives you to drink. Just leave.
Right? That's what a group of Ariados is called, a foreshadowing.
Oh, Christ.
Dr. Aggro, who's your MVP?
So I'm kind of proud I get to do this. After all these movies, I'm gonna give this one to Pikachu.
Wow.
You know?
I mean, he was actually fundamental at several key points in the movies. He did that sick ass Iron Tail and fucked up a giant robot.
He sure did.
That's my boy.
Yeah. My list for MVPs, for anyone who's curious, I just write it down as it occurs to me. Zarude, pretty good nomination. Other one, the other Zarude, pretty good nomination. Squovit, because come on now.
There are like 4 named Zarude I had in my pocket. Like, all right.
Dreadnought, and then the last nomination, Pikachu, because Pikachu was actually very productive, very fundamental in this film.
Yeah, when he's the only Pokemon that Ash has, he's got to be.
Yeah, he also is the only Pokemon capable of Zundots. Mm-hmm. Very important to deal with this mech. Now, we normally had a segment here called Is Ash in a Coma? However, we have discovered by doing this podcast series the truth that he was, and he is dead.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this segment is no longer a part of this series. I'm just glad, and here in the last episode, I just get to bring up, we figured it out.
Right?
After all these movies.
We did.
We got to the bottom
They
of
made
it.
it pretty obvious with that one movie, though.
Yeah, that was fucking, like, the other times they're, like, hinting at it. They're like, oh, is this metaphor? Do you see the veiled similarities? And that last one's like, he's fucking dead now.
Yep. It's amazing. Ash is canonically dead, and yet he will be in these movies forever.
Some sort of horrible
it's been a
specter of
while.
undeath.
You say when we've had a 4-year drought.
There must always been an Ash.
Yeah, that same guy from World of Warcraft will show up and put on the Ash hat. Nobody thinks to ask. Maybe he's just crazy. He shows up anytime any villain dies and is like, there must always be a blank.
There must always be a Unabomber.
There must
With
always
a hoodie and sunglasses.
There must always be a horribly managed Wendy's. The next segment, similarly, doesn't work, I don't think, anymore. Arceus Ex Machina, how well does this tie things up to return to the status quo of the series?
Bro, there ain't no series anymore.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Like, Ash died. I don't... It's
But weirdly, I feel like it's very strange that this takes steps to accommodate for the series potentially being there because you don't have Coco go with Ash,
Yeah.
which is so
was
strange.
Horse shit.
Yeah.
So then that brings us to our final category for our probably final episode of Pokemon Go to the Movies for quite a while. This is our rating. And once again, this is an 8th gen movie. So we are ranking this on a scale of 1 to 905. Because Enamorous just slid in as an 8th gen. So they say. I thought this movie was really good. I like a lot of what it does. It has a theme. It has a message. It sticks to it. It's not overwrought. It has cool personal vibes about father-son relationships, a search for identity, nature versus society.
She's some sort of society girl.
No, Ash is an uptown girl.
Okay.
Living in her uptown world. This movie is cool as well. It's very heartfelt and cool. I actually think this is one of the better in the entire series, which is really unfortunate. I thought this was going to be trash. I thought this whole thing ended in a trash fire, and then it would be like, well, I could see why they stopped making it. Because that's how it felt during a lot of the stretches here.
Right, but this was the same director as The Power of Us.
yes.
So I'm not too
Yeah.
surprised that this was actually good.
I thought maybe something went horribly wrong in the soup this time.
Fair.
I'm going to give this a 797. And we're going to move to Bob. Bob, what score are you giving Secrets of the Jungle?
Yeah, this was surprisingly good. It managed to do all those themes you mentioned without feeling like heavy-handed and like it was talking down to you, like I almost always see in media that approaches those exact themes. So I enjoyed this quite a bit. I think it has a really good pace to it, and it tells the story well and doesn't feel like it needs to even have Ash all that much. Like, it is very much just a movie about Coco, and that's really neat.
It is.
So I'm gonna give this like an 8.30. I think this is great. Really easily recommendable Pokemon film.
Next is Chris Wolfhart.
Yeah, they've all been pretty good since I Choose You. It's like they turned on. Ash died and went to a world where there was no cryptocurrency, so movies didn't have to have all the exact same fucking plot. It's like, here's a rich asshole with an airship. He wants to capture a legendary with a thing that isn't a Pokeball.
How dare he?
Yeah, like Bob said, really easily recommendable. It has a nice through line. These last ones have really sold like the joy of Pokemon. So I'll give it an 805.
Dr. Aggro.
Yeah, here at the end of these films, this one was refreshingly gorgeous once again. It had like a cogent storyline where things happened one after the other and were related to one another. There was space to dunk on Celebi for being useless as shit one more time. I even got a scene to think, where's Suicune? Suicune, there's water that's not magic enough. Get up off your ass.
Okay, I made a little bit more magic, but not enough.
Good job, buddy. Good job. You're like the Crystal Light of magic water.
Oh my God.
Does it taste like a tasty drink? It tastes like Crystal Light now.
Not since the movie where they met time-traveling Oak was I more disappointed that I didn't see Ash kiss a boy by the end of this film.
Yeah, that was the other one. Yeah.
It's really surprising they went with like the Tarzan element and not have a boy and girl relationship. Yeah.
Yeah.
I nearly cried laughing when Coco did the exact Tarzan dust wipe on the picture frame glass. That's just not even fucking hiding it.
No.
It was delightful from start to finish. There was even a tiny blurry impidimp. It's an 815 easy.
Okay, and we end on Shibuya Gato.
You know, in a world where the Edgar Rice Burroughs estate refuses to give Disney the license to do anything else with Tarzan, it's nice to see someone else picking up the mantle of just making really good jungle movement shots. I think this film was very well animated. I think the story was really solid for what it is. Definitely on the higher tier of Pokemon movies for me, as they have been since I Choose You. And I thought this was good. The pacing was really solid. Like, there was a point where I had to pause briefly to get up and do something in the middle of watching. And it was just as Zed and his team had entered the jungle. And I was like, what do you mean half of the runtime is left? What are they going to do? And then it was well paced and I didn't mind and it flew by. I was stunned.
Yeah, I also had that experience. I had to pause it for note stuff, and I was like, oh no, there's like half of this movie left. Are they going to use it well? And they did.
They did. Yeah, it's shocking. And I love being pleasantly surprised by a Pokemon movie after the dog shit we had to watch last time. But, you know, I'm glad they brought it back, and we've ended on a high note, and hopefully they come back eventually with this same tier of quality. I think this is an easy 800 on my end.
Wow. Yeah, this did really well. That gave it a total of 4,047 points. This is not how I expected this podcast series to end, especially for most of the middle chunk.
Yeah, there were some dire moments there.
Yeah.
I'm like, I've seen every Pokemon movie but like one, and people go, okay, what are the good ones? I'm like, are there like 2, 3? I don't know. How much do you want to ironically watch a Pokemon movie?
That is the question you should be asking first.
Yeah,
It's
you need
true.
to calibrate.
Anyway, this has been absolutely delightful. I would tell you to Pokemon go, Pokemon home, but you can't Pokemon stay here because we're Pokemon shutting down until we're resurrected like a Regigigas in the future when they finally make a new Pokemon movie. Thank you for joining us on this journey. I hope you have your own Pokemon adventure out there. Watching, why would I wish them to watch all these movies? Why would I do?
Yeah, do something else. Do other kinds of Pokemon adventures.
You know what? Just get a Poketch and walk around. That's a better time. I'm gonna walk some volts for my Heart Gold Soul Silver playthrough.
Jesus.
This is great.
Hell yeah.
Everyone at the gym thinks I'm the coolest. The executive producers for this GigaBoots video are Esme, Ely Broyles, Spaceman Spiff, Red Blaze 27, Brendan O'Sullivan, A Reminder for Symphony of War, Cooper Tank, Very Best Plot, Iconic Bane, and Rado. Thank you very much to our executive producers. And also these guys. If you want to become an executive producer or normal patron, head on over to patreon.com/gigaboots today.